Nakikita yung yeah.
I guess everyone settled down. Okay. Good morning to everyone. Welcome to the press conference on the economic performance of the Philippines for the second quarter. So before we begin, before we reveal the performance of our Philippine economy for the second quarter, let me introduce to you the Secretary of Social Economic Planning and Director General of the National Economic Development Authority, Mr. Arsenio M. Balisaca, and also our interim Deputy National Statistician of the Philippines Statistics Authority, Mr. Romeo S. Reside. Okay, and they're also joined, they will be joined by officials of the Philippine Statistics Authority and the National Economic and Development Authority. For as follows, we have here NEDA Deputy Director General Emmanuel F. Sierra and Director of the Economic Statistics Office of the Philippine Statistics Authority, Raimundo Talento. And on my right are the Interim Deputy National Statistician for Censuses and Technical Coordination, Ms. Ina B. Castro. And finally, the Assistant Director General of the National Economic and Development Authority. I have my notes here. Okay, Ms. Rosemary Interior. So again, good morning. We'll start with the presentation of the performance of the Philippine economy for the second quarter of 2014. So at this point, our interim Deputy National Statistician for Sectoral Statistics, Mr. Romeo S. Reside, will make his presentation on the performance of our Philippine economy, of course. And so for everyone's attention, highlights of the report on the economy are posted on our website. So you may follow us on Twitter, still at NSCP Philippines, and use the hashtag VHGDP. The press conference can also be streamed live on the internet through the NSCP Ustream channel. So, Mr. please.
Thank you very much, Honorable Secretary, our Secretary Balisaman, Deputy Director General Manuel and Assistant Director General Rose Vivian, and also our interim Deputy National Statistician Ina Castro, Director Val Abuan, there, and Director Teresa Peralta, and beside me here, Director Ray Talento, officials and staff of the Philippine Citizen Authority, and our partners in media. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to report on the performance of the Philippine agriculture as measured by the GDP and related indicators. Philippine economy. For the Philippine economy as measured by the GDP and other related indicators. The GDP grew year on year by 6.4% in the second quarter of 2014. It is lower than the 7.9% in the same period last year, but higher than the growth of 5.6% in the first quarter of 2014. The gross national income, or GNI, accelerated by 7.3% from 6.4% in the same period last year. This is the result of continued inflow of remittances that boosted the rebound of the net primary income from the rest of the world by 12.7% from a decline of 1.2% last year. The second quarter growth was driven by the industry sector, which grew by 7.8%, followed by the services sector, which grew by 6%. It is noted that the growth in the industry sector is lower than the previous year's growth of 10.5% in the second quarter last year, but higher than the 5.3% growth registered in the first quarter this year. Growth in the services sector is lower than that in the second quarter of 2013, which was registered at 7.8%, and of the first quarter growth, which was registered at 6.8%. Meanwhile, agriculture rebounded to a 3.6% growth from a decline of 0.2% in the second quarter last year. With the country's projected population reaching 99.7 million in the second quarter of 2014, the per capita GDP grew by 4.6% from 6% of the same quarter in 2013. Per capita GNI grew by 5.5%, while per capita household final consumption expenditure grew by 3.6%, both higher than the 4.6% and the 3.3% registered in 2013, respectively. Contributions to the GDP 6.4% growth are the following. Among the three major economic sectors, services made the highest contribution to the GDP growth in the second quarter of 2014, contributing 3.5 percentage points, followed by industry with 2.5 percentage points, and the industry and agriculture sector with 0.3 percentage points. From the expenditure side, for the second quarter, imports of services posted the highest growth at 26.2%. This is followed by the following components: exports of services at 11.7%, exports of goods at 10%, and the final household final expenditure consumption of 5.3%. And lastly, for this second quarter, major contributors to the GDP from the expenditure side were the following: net exports at 4.2 percentage points, household final consumption expenditure at 3.6 percentage points, and fixed capital formation at 0.8%. These are the major highlights of the report. The details will be contained in the materials that will be subsequently distributed in a while. In the meantime, thank you and good morning to everyone.